We switch to the next day where Jin says yesterday was a weird day and Sarah was the reason. He then stops thinking about it because it's none of his concern anymore. He sees a long cucumber and thinks it reminds him of Sarah's massive sword. He stops himself from thinking too much about it. His life is finally going back to normal, and he also has customers who rely on him, so he needs to do a good job. We see that because he was late yesterday, he apologized a lot, but the guy knew Jin wouldn't do that for no good reason, so he wasn't mad about it. After harvesting the crops, he drives back in his truck and he starts to think about the events of the day, and how he needs to deliver early so he won't inconvenience others. He's exhausted, but at least he has some beer at home, and he can cook something up. While driving, he sees someone standing on the road, so he hits the brakes. Jin apologizes for almost hitting the person, then he sees it's actually Sarah gazing at the field. Jin gets out of his truck and asks Sarah what she's doing here. Jin asks if she found her kingdom, and she explains that no matter who she asked, nobody knew anything and they seemed surprised when she asked. Jin thinks that Sarah is less optimistic and quieter. He thinks about everything she said and suggests that she might have come from another world. Sarah asks about what he said and Jin responds that he still can't believe what she says as anything other than fiction. Before he finishes, Sarah tells him she's telling the truth. And he tells her he knows she's not the kind of person to lie about that. So that's the reason he thinks she might be from another world. Sarah says this place really is different from where she came from, and she also thanks Jin for believing her. Jin says it's late, and it gets really dark at night, so he tells her she can stay at his house because she must be tired. Sarah smiles and thanks him. They both get in the truck and he wonders if she's okay sitting at the back of the truck. The road ahead is smoother, so he says it won't be a really bumpy ride. Sarah, behind the truck, looks at the sky with a blank expression almost the entire way there. When they arrived home, Sarah seemed to have calmed down a bit, and she tells Jin she's tired, so she goes to sleep early. He thinks she might be hiding her emotions. If Jin was in Sarah's shoes, suddenly finding himself in a completely unfamiliar place, he would get overwhelmed and probably burst into tears. Jin prepares a glass of water for her. While going to Sarah's room, at the door he hears sobbing and gets why she would be crying. He stands there for a few seconds, then leaves the glass of water at the entrance, and goes back to his kitchen. He wants to let the ingredients stay overnight, so he can make some kelp broth. He also seasons the fish to let it marinate overnight as well. He starts thinking of the time they ate together, and how Sarah really liked the food and how she smiled and thanked him. He plans to make a meal she'll enjoy again so she can feel a little better. The next chapter starts with Sarah waking up in the morning. She thinks she fell asleep without realizing. She remembers the events of the previous day, and she takes a big breath, assuring herself there's no use in constantly agonizing over it. She insists she needs to think of what she'll do. She goes to open the window for some fresh air, and she is mesmerized by the amazing view and says it is beautiful. She then smells something delicious and her stomach starts to growl a lot. She goes to see what it is, then she finds Jin cutting vegetables and preparing a meal. She greets him and he flinches before responding to her. He thinks that surprised him because it has been very long since someone greeted him in the morning. Sarah thanks Jin for leaving that glass of water and asks where she should put the glass. He tells her to leave it at the table. She looks at what Jin is preparing and asks if there's anything she can help with. Jin tells her to set the table, and she does that. He then finishes up cooking and puts rice in 2 bowls, adds some miso soup and cuts some green onions and adds them on top. They sit down to have the meal and Sarah is excited to eat. Jin thinks that his plan to cheer her up worked. He tells Sarah that he's glad she cheered up and says they should start eating. Sarah takes a tomato and tries it. She likes it, and she tells Jin about its flavor and sweetness. Jin tells her it's a tomato. She asks if it's a fruit or a vegetable, and Jin tells her it's a vegetable. She points at something and asks what it is. Jin tells her it's a cucumber. Sarah tells him this is the first time she's had vegetables this good and compliments him, saying he's cultivated good produce. Jin tells her she probably feels that way because her world had nothing like this. But he's still glad she liked the vegetables that couldn't be sold. Sarah is surprised, because to her they all seem like very good vegetables. She takes a piece of fish and thinks it smells really good, tries it and thinks it tastes really delicious. She then tells Jin she's never had fish that tasted this good. She tries some rice and thinks it tastes delicious. She tries mixing miso soup and rice and you guessed it, she says it tastes delicious. She compliments the taste, fragrance, and texture of the fish and tells Jin she's never had any fish that didn't have a distinct fishy smell before. She asks what kind of fish it is, and he tells her it's called salmon. Jin asks if Sarah ate fish in her world too. She tells him yes, they had a type of fish called the donko that was really common and cheap. She starts getting more flashbacks about how the fish smelled. Jin thinks it must be unappetizing judging by her expression. He tells her it made him curious and now he wants to try it. Sarah suddenly shows a serious expression. Jin asks what's wrong and she says she's ashamed. He asks why and she says she can't eat salmon without making a mess. Jin thinks it must be difficult to eat it with a fork. Please like and subscribe so we can reach 100 subscribers. Thanks for watching.